Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Mortgage Ballers. This is Rich Hanlin, and I got Miss or the Kisha Frankie Larkins. Do you want Frankie in the middle? I just know you as Kisha Larkins.
Kisha's fine. Frankie is fine. I have a lot of names. Good morning.
Well, I need to hear, where's Frankie come from?
Frankie is interesting story. I am my mother's third child and her last one. And so each time she had one of my siblings, my grandmother, whose name is Frankie, would tell her she wanted the baby named after her. And I ended up being that one. And so, true story, in our community, when I say our community, the Black community, we always have nicknames. And so, when I was born, my brother named me Peaches. So, I went all the way through the age of 7 thinking my name was Peaches. And so then one day I was in second grade, first day of class, and the teacher was like doing roll call. And so she kept saying, Frankie, Frankie. And I'm looking around like everyone else, like, who's this Frankie person? And she comes and taps my dad. She was like, you're Frankie. I was like, no, my name is Peaches. So I went home to my great grandmother who raised me. And I was like, who's this Frankie? She goes, that's your name, honey. I was like, oh, okay. And then my mother, somewhere around later, a little bit after that, I asked her about it. She goes, I actually wanted to name you Keisha. She goes, I just went ahead and named you Frankie because your grandmother insisted I name you Frankie, but I wanted to name you Keisha. So I went all the way through high school and everything else, putting Keisha on my documents. And then when I turned 21, I legally changed my name to Keisha. But now I actually prefer Frankie.
I was getting nervous. I'm like, well, wait a minute. Who are you?
Right.
Which name are we going by? No, I'm kidding. No, that's an awesome story. It's I getting to that far into your life, 7 years old, and finding out, wait, my name isn't Richard? What?
Yeah.
Your name is Jonathan. It's like, oh, all right, right on. Well, thanks for coming on. I know a little bit about you because we were talking, but tell everybody, I mean, you actually have a powerful license in California. Let's talk about that a little bit. You're not just a salesperson, you actually are a broker. And even more than that, you have your own real estate brokerage and you kind of work with us for the loan side of it. But tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I got into real estate in 2004. It was like I need something different. I had just left the phone company and got into real estate. And when I first started, I went and worked for a loan originating company, small company, mom and pop. And the loan processor, she was like, you really should, think about, doing mortgages. And so I just started processing loans with her, and then I started doing both. So from 04 to 08, I did both segments of real estate. And
Hmm.
then the market crashed
Oh
and
yeah,
things
I
got
remember
really,
that.
really crazy. They were really, really crazy. So I decided at that point I would focus just on real estate. So I continued doing real estate, consistently through all the ups and downs or whatever. And then in 2016, I decided, you know what, I've been doing this now for a good 10, 12 years. I'm going to go ahead and get my broker's license. And that's what I did. I got my broker's license in 2016 and I started my company. Initially, it had a different name, but it's now Say Yes to the Keys Real Estate. And I've been doing that. I have a few agents underneath me in California, and I love it. I love it because when I first got into purchasing a home, I was 21. I purchased my first home. And I had a real estate person and I had a loan originator, and neither one of them educated me on real estate at all or the loan process. Felt as if I was a commission check to them. And so I said, I'm going to go ahead and get into this business, and my focus is education. So I spend a lot of time just educating my clients on real estate, the pros, the cons, the benefits, all that good stuff, so that they are aware. I don't want them to be surprised if something goes crazy in the market. I don't want them to lose their home. So I felt it was important in 2023 when I decided to get back into mortgages to bring all of my real estate knowledge with that and to just spend time, educating them on the financial side as well.
You know, what I find is you get outside California. California is the only state that you can have a California DRE license and do both loans and real estate. You get outside California and it's two separate entities. A lot of people don't realize that. So you do have people that have a real estate license separate, and they could be working with this company and that company. That's something I learned. And I also learned that broker's license that you got in California, and I'm going to say the word wrong, but has reciprocity or something like that into other states other than Florida for some reason. But what does that mean? Yeah, it's such a powerful license and hard to get that, I mean, some people say it's almost like getting your, becoming a lawyer. It's some people that's a really hard test because it covers a lot of things, not just loans, not just real estate. I mean, you're talking about all kinds of things because you can do a lot of things with that license. You can be a title, you can be an escrow, you can open up your own lending company, you can be a broker, you can do appraisals, you can be asked to sit on a stand and be an expert to help people understand real estate in the case of some type of real estate lawsuit and stuff like that. It's a very powerful license. So it covers a lot of things, METs and bounds and zoning, things that you'll never, ever use. I know, because I've 35 years, I've never used half of it. And I'm like, hey,
Right.
where's all the mortgage questions? Oh, there's 5, but there's 200 questions on here. What the heck? I got my license, and it's been probably one of the most life-changing things I ever did in my life. And just, and we're going to talk about that in a minute, but it's so awesome to hear you say that you're using your license. So many people don't understand the power of that license. What they're not hearing you say is, I know that you moved to Texas. I know that you have a broker's license in California. She's actually a broker in California as well, has a team in California, but yet she is a jet setter and actually recently moved to Texas and is actually getting her stuff set up there. So she's a multi-state broker, multi-state business. Like, you have to be on your game nowadays. It's just not easy, and you got to keep thinking out of the box, but I can hear that entrepreneur in you. So
Yes.
that's what I like these conversations. I didn't know a lot of that, so I appreciate you sharing that with me. All right. You think you're going to get away without some really hard questions? No, I'm kidding. Easy questions. There's better ways. I wanted to find better ways, but here's what I want to ask. I want to know more. I know you do real estate. I know you do loans, but there's a lot of people out there that have a license and they say, well, I'm no different than Kisha. I'm like, because the license, yes, you're no different, but it's the sauce behind the license where there could be a huge depth in difference. And that's what I want to tap into. I want people to know who Kisha is outside of having a license and how you're bringing that into, because you talked about education, you talked about your experience buying a house. A lot of people feel that way, by the way. All right, let's start with this one. I want to hear this one. If you could give your younger self one piece of advice, what would it be?
That's a great question. And I speak to young people today about it. It's about investing in themselves. It's extremely important that you become aware of all the different avenues to invest in yourself, from education beyond high school, beyond college, continuously learning different things. Learn about the insurance industry, learn how powerful, like I would have loved for someone to tell me how powerful an IUL was in Index
I know
Universal Life
exactly what you're
Plan.
talking. Oh, explain that a little bit more. Don't just say IUL. People are like, huh?
Yes, so
Say it all
Index
out.
Universal Life Plan, it's one
Hmm.
of the most amazing tools out there. It is not only a life insurance plan, but it's also a retirement plan. And so you decide how much you want to invest in yourself each month, and watch your money grow. The difference between that and like a standard life insurance plan is that if you need to borrow money from your IUL, it's your money. You're not taxed on it. It's your money. You can use it however you need to. And I first heard about it back when I was about 33 years old. So aging myself, I was about 15 years ago. And at that time,
Whatever.
at that time, I'll be honest, I was struggling paycheck to paycheck. I was like, I just don't have the money to invest in myself. And so had I did it then, where I am now, I definitely would be in a much better financial place, but it's never too late. Don't think it's too late. Go ahead and start now. That way you can have a retirement plan, as well as you can leave something for your family. Your services will be covered. Like, everyone will be covered. So it's a very powerful tool.
Absolutely. I actually go to events and I team up with people who sell that, and then I talk about it, but they'll pull out, they always pull out the charts and they say, see, if you start here, but you're consistent for 20 years, 25, 30 years, watch what happens over time. And I love coming up behind them and I say, put your chart back up. A lot of people in the room, they're looking at year number 1 and they're fascinated. Do people really ever get to the bottom of that chart? And I said, well, 35 years ago, I started one of those policies and I started with this amount, $100 a month. And over time, by the way, you can put more cash into it. They allow you to put a little more and it's grown. I've actually taken 2 other policies as my life has changed. And I'm now that person that's 35 years on the first policy at $100. So I'm looking at the 18-year-old there. I'm like, $100. This policy now is here, just change the numbers. Now this policy right here is here. And they're like, oh, and I'm like, time. Small amounts over time become huge amounts. And at any given time, I've had a life insurance backup on the other side of it that if I actually passed away, boom, somebody would have a lump sum. But eventually, by the way, if you have to file bankruptcy, they can't touch your life insurance. So it's a place where a lot of money is put for various reasons. You have limitations on how much you can put into a 401k. And some people are like, you know what? You would almost be better to not max out your 401k and put a little there and open up the IUL policy and put a little there. You're gonna accomplish the same thing. Your money's growing, but one's gonna grow tax free, and you're gonna be able to tap into it later on in life. And there's strategies for all that, but also buying houses, dumping equity, being your own lender sometimes when you need to do stuff, and you're like, oh my gosh, I can loan myself $30,000 and do this right now, and I'll pay myself back.
Yes.
But meanwhile, things are growing. It's a very powerful tool, and that's what everything is that we do. Loans, a loan is just a tool to get and secure real estate of some sort. And I have investors, Kisha, that have taught me a lot. They're like, Rich, I don't care what the interest rates are. If I buy right and I get what I'm looking for in my return, I don't care what the rate is. The rate will dictate whether I'm going to buy this property or that property, or whether I'm going to buy in California or I'm going to buy in Alabama. Where am I going to get that return in today's market? And that's where kind of expert home lending started saying, okay, the United States is a big place. It's not all the same, right? There's opportunity if you're not afraid. People, no, I've got to be able to, I have a rental property I've never seen at one time.
Really?
Yeah, I had somebody go handle it for me. I know where it was at. I saw the pictures. And I trusted the real estate agent. I knew what I was going for. I have a property manager. I stay out of it completely. And that's something I never did before. And it's worked out really well. So now I talk to my investors about crossing state lines. I can look at a property, I can backfill it to them and say, hey, this property came up. Here's the estimated rent. If I do a DSCR loan at 30%, you could buy two of those versus that one in California we did a year ago, and look at the cash flow on this. And they're like, whoa, but have your realtor call this realtor. I'll handle the loan. And so I do a lot of backwards advertising, I guess, because investors are always there. There's a reason they're there. They're always ready looking for opportunity. I wish that younger part of us, I got in this business in 1991. I was like 24 years old. Started out as a loan processor, but over the years we have helped investors become quadrillionaires. And then I'm always like, why are we not as originators? Each real estate agent, each originator comes into this. I'm thinking every one of you should at least have one rental. It opens up conversations, but you need to build your legacy, not somebody else's. Help them, but make sure you're building yours. IULs are part of that legacy, by the way.
Yes.
All right, I want more of you. All right, here we go. Are you ready for it?
I am.
She does it. You guys need to know. I tricked her. I gave her different questions, but we were going to get the real Kisha today. Yes. What's a lesson you learned the hard way, but are now grateful for? I want your real answers. That's why.
The answer is, I think everything in life is a lesson. And so who I am as a person is I am a risk taker. I don't even bother to figure out which way it's going to go. If I see an opportunity, if something interests me, I'm going to jump. And then I learned that lesson, whether that was a good decision. Head first. I drive my family crazy. They was like, can we talk about this first? No, let's go. And so I do it. And then afterwards, I'm like, okay, wow, that worked. That was great. Or, okay, I know not to do that again. So I can't really think of one thing in particular, but I just know that I'm always going to just jump and figure it out, as I go. Can't say that's probably the best for most people, but that's just how my psyche works. And I have no regrets. Even the things that didn't work out, I hold zero regrets. It was a life lesson. Okay, great.
I'm with you, girl. I came from nothing. So therefore I felt like a failure. I felt like my family had felt like no one had figured it out how to get out of poverty. And it's like, gosh, are we just going to keep repeating and repeating and repeating? And eventually, because they were afraid they felt like I don't have the finances to ever take a chance, because if I lose, that's food off the table for and I would have rathered my parents take a chance, because I love them to death, but they taught me how to be so conservative and fearful. And there was a big world out there. And when I think of dollar cost averaging, just $20 a month, just starting somewhere. And that 20 becomes 21, but then at 40 becomes 42. And you start to understand the power. And then, gosh, if they would have bought one share of Apple stock, just
Mhm.
one share of Amazon stock, just take a chance. When it was $5 a share, it could be worth like $100,000 today. I mean, we're so fearful to even try that we miss so many incredible opportunities that just pass them by. Here's a good story, and I don't know religious wise people, but I love the story about the guy who's out there almost about ready to drown in the middle of the ocean. Lord, please send me someone to save me. Send me a boat. And here comes a little tiny boat, just enough room. Hey, jump on in. I'll got no. I'm waiting. God's going to provide me a help here. Okay, I'm going to keep going. Here comes that next one. A little bit. No, go. God's going to help me. God. And then he drowns. He's up there and he's like, God, what's going on? I asked you. He goes,
Mhm.
man, I sent you two boats. Like, stop being
Right.
so dang picky. Do
Right.
you do people see opportunity? And sometimes we're so fearful that the opportunities are just shooting by every day. Um,
Every
so I
day.
love
We
that
are
you're
fearful.
fearless. I love the fearless part of you. All right, here's a good one. In your opinion, what's the biggest misconception that people have about what we do, our field, whether real estate or loans?
Biggest misconception.
They think we all don't work and get paid a lot of money for doing
They do
nothing.
definitely think we get paid a whole lot for nothing. They have no idea the amount of hours that goes in behind packaging that loan and getting them the best information. So
But yeah,
that is and that irks me. I'm like, listen, we've earned this. Like I promise you, all the hard work that goes in there so that you can get the keys to your house, say yes to the keys it's worth it. So there's that, and then like the people that I deal with, 'cause I deal with a lot of first time home buyers, people who do not think that they would ever be able to qualify.
uh-huh.
They think that it's just like a hustle game, and that they're gonna end up, from what I'm hearing from them, is that they're gonna end up losing it, losing everything, and that goes back to me saying invest in yourself, trust the process. At 21, I had no clue. I had no idea. And I just jumped in 2 feet forward. I had a 3-year-old daughter, and I was like, I
Oh
knew
man.
nothing as well. I did not want her to have the same experience as I did. I wanted to be able to leave something for her. I wanted her to see that we can come out of that situation. So, yeah, definitely it's worth it. And like the returns of real estate, whether you're holding it, living in it, whatever, they're amazing. And you can do so much with that. You can grow your portfolio by getting into real estate.
I have never had anybody, even people like, hey, I don't want to live in this neighborhood. I'm like, cool, I got to get you, Roseville versus Rancho Cordova. And it's like, oh my gosh, but I grew up in Roseville. I want to buy. It's like, well, your parents live in Roseville. That's like their fifth house. That's not going to be
Hmm.
your first house,
Right.
but I can get home ownership down in Rancho Cordova, which is an incredible community, but there's still value there, or Antelope, there's still value there. These are places in
Hmm.
California, in case people are wondering. But
Yes.
it's like living in San Francisco, or you can live just outside I want to live
Right.
in the city. It's like, well, that costs a lot to live in the city.
Hmm.
But I've never ever had anybody after 10 years of ownership and say, remember when you were talking? He goes, I wish I would have done it 10 years earlier.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Best time to
Yes.
buy was yesterday. Then the second best time is right now today, because
Right.
I promise you, when it comes to real estate, when it comes to any investment on the planet, including IUL insurance, you will love yourself 10 years from now for the stress that you take on today.
Hmm.
And I think when people learn to live with a little bit of stress, we're so worried about, I can't take any more stress. And it's like, well, there's good stress and there's bad stresses. Where your kids are going to lay their heads at night to sleep. Where are you going to cook that family dinner on Sunday? Where are you going to have Christmas and celebrate your traditions? Where are you going to mow your own yard, and plant your own flowers? Well, you're not just doing those things. Those are memories. And I would challenge people, don't be like my parents. They were hardworking people. They instilled that in me, but just a little bit more. Invested in themselves. They didn't have to leave me anything, and they didn't pretty much leave me anything. But at the same point, I think they could have had more, and I would have liked to have seen them had more.
Exactly.
My family's great at dying in poverty. Well,
Hmm.
we have to change it somewhere. One person in the family has to say, you know what? I will take the lead. I
Yes.
will lead us.
I'm
I love
proud of
it.
you, Rich. You did it.
Oh
You
man,
took the
sometimes
lead
I
and
don't
you
know.
led your way.
Here's a good question. Oh, I know what inspired you because you talked about you buying. How about this? Now this is going to be a little deep for you. All right.
Like deep.
Well,
I don't like hard, but I like deep questions. Deep
If you
thoughts.
had to start over with nothing, what would be your first move?
With nothing,
I all gone. I take all, I mean, you are stripped down to nothing but what's between your ears.
I am going to follow the same path that I took before. I'm going to invest in a
I
home.
like it.
I'm going to invest in a home because there's nothing like growing up after my great grandmother passed away because she raised me from birth until I was 11. Then, so I started in Chico, California, if you know where that's at.
I know exactly where it's at.
Yeah, not very diverse in that time. And so then
Hmm.
I had to move to Oakland with my mother. So you talk about being shocked of
Well,
cultural.
that's a quite two very different places for sure.
Yes. And so with her, my mother, she battled a lot of different life things.
Uh
And
huh.
so I hopped around quite a bit, homeless quite a bit, and pretty much by the time I was 11, 12 years old, I pretty much had to become an adult to figure out what's my next move going to be. Where am I going to live at? Where am I going to get my food from? So being moved around so much and not having that stability at home was extremely important to me. And like I said, having a daughter at that age, I didn't want to repeat that generational curse. I wanted to give her something to
Right.
have, to see the investment, how important it is. And so I would start with a home first again and then go from there. But then right behind that, I definitely would have got, like you did at 18, I would have gotten into insurance, an IUL or something if I would have known about it back then, because that's the gift that's going to keep on giving. So that would be my choice, and so I guess I always now just look for, like, what can I do differently so that those, things are not repeated, so getting an IUL for my I have 5 children, setting it up for them so that they have something, you know? I don't want them just to depend on mom, I want them to know that they now have something to carry them forward, and as
Cheapest
soon
time to
as
do it is when they're kids, by the way. You're not wishing
yes.
your kid to die. It's an
Yep.
investment that grows. And guess what? In later on in life, if something bad happens, you become uninsurable. That policy's already in place and growing and growing and growing. Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off, but
Nope.
you're preaching it right now, and people need to hear what you're saying.
So yeah, I'm getting IULs for them set up, and I mean they have their, of course they have their life insurance, but I want them to have an IUL because now that I understand how powerful they are. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Time with a little bit of energy. The younger they are, the more face value insurance they can get because they're like, okay, the probability this person's going to live to 85, they're not dying tomorrow. The worst time to get insurance, well, it's the worst time to get fire insurance is when your house is on fire, right? It's like there's a
exactly.
reason why it costs so much. All right, we understand the business side of your mind. I'm liking it. I'm liking it. This is how we get up in the morning and we get better. I like it.
Yes.
Um, but I want to know when you're not in loan mode, when you're not in real estate mode, when you're not in entrepreneur mode, um, what kind of hobbies do you have? What do you like to do? What does your off time look like?
My goodness, my peace of mind is being on a cruise ship. You can put me on any cruise ship in the world. I love cruising.
All right.
Vacation in general, if you put me on an island, anything near the Caribbean water, I love to do that. Hobby wise, I like to craft a lot. So I like to scrapbook the memories from these trips. I like to do like make t-shirts, you know, using Cricut and stuff like that. As long as I'm with my family and doing something. So when we do plan our vacations, it's big. So I now have a blended family. I have, you know, my 5 children from my previous relationship, and I'm remarried, and my husband, he has 6 kids and 5 grandkids.
Woo!
So we
All right, here
we
we
like to
go.
plan very large vacations, just to get out and hang out and let the cares go. So
I
I'm
like it.
definitely an unplugger. So when I'm on vacation, I'm on vacation. Like I have to reset. It's so important.
Well, I like that. And I have not been an unplugger for 35 years, but my wife finally called me out. We went on a vacation and I promised her I wasn't going to work on that vacation. And we went to the Bahamas.
Congrats.
We had waited for this once in a lifetime opportunity, and some last minute stuff came up. And so I was working early in the morning and late at night trying to stay, but it didn't matter. She knew my mind was not where she needed it. And so she called me out pretty good. And hence why I'm now using a calendar because part of my day is just people hit me all day long. Can I just get a second? Can I just get a second? Well, it's never just a second. And then I end up being good at a lot. I'm great at nothing. And so I did get into, I think it's called Calendly or whatever, and
Hmm.
said, hey, here's the 4 hours of my day. You can have an hour of my time, but only 4 of you are going to get it because I'm going to finish up what my other needs on the front end and back end of that. And if I'm not available, if I'm the only outlet that you have, we got to find you a second outlet
Yes.
because people come to me because it's fast, but doesn't mean someone else can't answer it. And
Exactly.
so I'm not trying to be mean, but I want to stay married too. My wife's put up with me
Exactly.
for 35 years doing this business, and this business ain't, it's not easy. She's been through that crash of 2008. She's been through the highs and the lows, but she said, when's it my time? And I said, ooh, I made some promises coming out of California. I didn't know this company was going to grow as fast as it did. And we've been in growth mode. But finally, we're at a point, and I just got serious with the owners and said, hey, this is not the best use of Rich Hanlin's time. We don't need 5 people working admin. We have people that are credible. Alex and Lisa love that side. They're very organized. Coming out of the UWM platform with Nate Reese and stuff like that, they run that side well. We have a compliance officer now that came in that works with us, our own compliance officer, and he knows our platform. And it's like, okay, it's time for me to step out. I like to originate. I like to travel as well. I like to go
Mhm.
to where all the people are that work here and say, how can I help you? Like, let's bring some value there. I'm going to bring some coaches in. I'm going to bring, what's working today, Rich? Cool. I paid the money to find out what's working. Now, here, take it for free and figure out which one of these 20 items might work for you. Because not everything works for everybody, but all 20 items are working. You got to pick something. Otherwise, you're just going to keep trying to reinvent the wheel. If it's not working, if it's not where you want it to be, well, part of it's just stepping out with consistency every single day. And, like I think I'm hearing it with you and a lot of the top people, you're not going to fail. You wake up and it's like, okay, what's the obstacle? And I'm on it. It's an obstacle today, but it's going to be in my rearview mirror tomorrow because nothing's going to keep me from succeeding in what I've chosen to do. So don't get me on a soapbox. I'm going the wrong direction.
No, no, you're
Um,
fine. And then what I would like to say to that is that you should be able to unplug because Expert has put in so many resources that are valuable. And if folks would just take the time to just tap into those versus just automatically doing what's easy, which is set text Rich. Let me call
right. Doing
Rich.
what's easy.
The Facebook platform, throw out those questions out there. I get, some of my answers there. I share information that I may possibly have. That resource hub, it's amazing. It's like start using some of those resources. You'll learn more if you start being more hands-on. That's my opinion.
One of the biggest questions I get all day long is, are we licensed in Kentucky? Are we licensed in Louisiana? And I'm thinking, I know it's in a resource hub, but let me show you how
Mhm.
to do an NMLS access lookup. And you can learn a lot. Just type in Expert Home Lending and it brings up every license. I mean, back in the day, we had the processors. There was no AUS electric underwriting system. Like you had these big books and you had to take everybody's credit, had a 12-month history, a 24-month history, and we had to build those histories, understand it, and then okay, based on the outcome of that credit, I can go here, 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 and you had to solve it yourself. No one's going to do that for you. And then because you couldn't just submit it to an underwriter and say, can you do it for me? They'd be like, that's the last loan I'm going to look at today because these people have already done it and I trust them because they're always correct. And that's how I came into the industry. I had some great teachers, great teachers. When your files come in and they say, ooh, that's Kisha's deal, I'm going to put it on. I'm going to start with Kisha's deal. I'll end with that other deal. You know, understanding your resources, understanding, I get the Facebook group. It's one of the few that I've seen where I see somebody ask a question and you're going to get input. But one day I saw 3 of the top loan originators in the nation, all like 8 o'clock at night, answer a question for a newer loan originator who had a FHA question. And I'm like, I wonder if that person even knows who those 3 people are that just answered. All 3 of them said, whoa, you can do it. And this is the way you're going to do it. The other person, yep, just do this. I mean, you had collaboration. You'd be lucky to get one person, let alone 3
Mm-hmm.
that do double digit loans every month. They specialize in FHA and making things happen. And I thought, I don't need to answer this. I just stood back and I said, wow, I had a lot of pride that day because I'm like, that's what I hoped for. It doesn't have to be a Rich answering every question because sometimes Rich doesn't know the answer, but what does Rich do? I'll go research it. I'll reach out to a bunch of AEs and get the answer and I come back, but I'm thinking, I haven't taught you how to fish. I'm just feeding you fish, right? It's
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
that the
Teaching how to
strength
fish
is
is so important.
teach people how to fish. And then that's kind of how I do with my customers too. Like,
Mm-hmm.
let me teach you how to be a homeowner. Let me explain the benefit. Hey, if you're renting, you're paying 1,000% interest, right? Or 100% interest. Like you're getting nothing. You got to put your head down every night. Your kids got to put their head down every night. Are you going to put it in somebody else's house, or would you like to try and put it in your own house? There's a misconception, and part of it is but I only want to own if I can own in this neighborhood. And it's like 2 years,
Somewhere.
2 years. Have you ever jumped? A lot of different residential areas that I'm aware of, especially Sacramento. Rancho Cordova is great. One time it kind of went down, but now people, because of affordability, have funneled back in and they bring it right back up. And now it's like, oh, I know where Rancho Cordova is. They've gotten very strong. Yeah, because now they're getting money for the schools, money for the roads, money for the development, the infrastructure. And it's like, do not look, you just might have been early, but that could be one of the most valuable investments. My friend's mom bought her house for $26,000. Thing's worth $450,000 in Rancho. She'd been there
Wow.
about it 30 years ago. Everything goes up. It's not just San Francisco that goes up. Believe me,
Right.
Bakersfield, Galt, they all go up.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm getting on
You
that
know the
soapbox.
gold mine.
All right. Here's a question for you. I'm just drilling you with questions, but you're answering what I hoped. Do you have a team of people that work with you, or do you do everything by yourself? And I'm talking real estate and loan, because you're doing both parameters there.
Yes, yes. So for real estate, like I said, I have about 3 agents who work underneath me. They're fairly new, so I just spend a lot of time just coaching and educating them. I
Okay.
don't have like anyone else to support them. I am their support. And then, when I was there and I would have transactions, I would just do my own. I'm very much a worker bee, honestly, and so I know my OCD is really strong. So I just kind of just do. Um, oh, I think I lost you.
Oh, I think you're
Oh,
back.
okay, I'm back. Okay, I'm sorry. Like my connection was kind of shaky. So real estate, I pretty much do all of my own stuff. If it's like my own transaction in real estate, just because I've done it for so long and my OCD is out there, I just like, nope, I can just knock it out, get it done a lot faster than, trying to teach. Not to say that that's the best route, because I could open up myself for more time if I had, like a transaction coordinator or something like that.
Okay.
On the originating side, I tap into our processors that we have. So I've used a couple of different ones who have been very valuable to me during originating. So I would not want to do, not that I can't, but I feel like I'm taking time away from finding new clients if I'm trying to do my whole loan processing and everything else. I'd rather just get things going, educate my clients, find the best programs for them, and then let that person, the processor, come in and assist and help. So I can go meet somebody else and
I
keep the
talk
pipeline
about
going.
that, leveraging your time to your strengths that can bring more business. I have a lot of people say, no, I white glove everything. Cool. I After about 4 loans a month in and month out, if I get to 5, I become a stress case, because it's not the 4 I'm working on or 5 I'm working on, it's the next 5. And that means I'm prospecting. And so I have ones coming, because if you're closing 5 a month, that means you got another 5 that are coming through. You're really working on 10, maybe 12. And then you're prospecting for those next sets that are going to replace, and you start this funnel. So it's not just 4 deals. It's 8 to 15 to 20 transactions that you're really trying to work on to have 4 consistent. The best use of your time, when you add up all the money you make, divide it by 2,000, you get to figure out what your worth per value or per hour is. And you have to really look at your day and say, okay, I could get somebody for $15 an hour to do these 5 items. It would bless their lives. They would make me look good because that's all they're going to do. And I can maybe get one more transaction a month. And that's the hardest concept for people to do, but we're trying to figure that part out. Right on. I've asked you a lot of questions here, and that's what I hope to ask. Do you have any questions for me?
Yes.
Oh
What
no,
is
she said that
your
fast.
well, what is your vision for Expert for the next 5 years?
Yeah. So we kind of touched on it a little bit. The next 5 years of my life, I have a heart. Let me say this correctly. I'm disappointed in the give back to our industry. I have so many friends that are leaving the industry and they're leaving with nothing. And I'm thinking, we make people millionaires, investors, getting people in the houses. How do we do all that, but yet we get to the end of our careers and we have nothing? And that's it can't be that way. I'm disappointed in our industry. I'm talking from the direct lender side to the broker side to the Bank of America side. We have failed. And we're just like, oh, well, we put it all off on Kisha that she gets the money. She should make all of her own stuff. It's like, but we don't talk about that side. I have so many single moms that have to, it's not just them. I have single dads too, but usually it's just them. But the moms usually end up with the kids, and they're in the same market and they're trying to figure out, how they're trying to better their lives, right? And we've gone through these last 3 years, and this is a good testament of just how hard it gets. Over 423,000 licensees after 2021 shot down to like 93 in the loan industry. Less than 28% of licensed real estate agents did at least one transaction. Like we're at the bottom of the barrel right now. And people are leaving. I have talked to people every day. Rich, I got to go because I got to go to my full-time job, and I'm now doing this part-time. Well, I don't know how to do this business part-time, because if I only gave it 1 hour a day, I'd be lucky if I got one deal a quarter. And I'm like, okay, that starts to make a little more sense why I had to sell out. And I want to teach people to sell out to it, to trust it, to give them better tools. We're going to start a thing where once a week, actually, I'm going to try and do it twice a week. I'm going to experiment both, but twice a week, I'm willing on Mondays and Thursdays, an hour with Rich. And I don't care if there's 600 people. I don't care if there's one person, but to have somebody talking, hey, what's working, what's not working, this is what we're seeing. And they just feel empowered to say, gosh, I'm not on an island by myself trying to figure this out. Some people like that. A lot of people don't do well with that working from home. They've said, gosh, if I just had some type of accountability. And I'm like, well, I can help you with that. I've done everything in this industry. I don't know what failure is, because I won't fail. People say, oh, that's easy to say. No, I've lost everything. 2008, I lost everything and I rebuilt. And I rebuilt this company. I not rebuilt, but started a new company. People said, you're crazy. Why would you leave your old company? Like it's a top 10 company. Why would you even think about doing it? Man, the recession's coming, rates are going to higher. And I'm like, because I know it's going to work. I know the formula that works for Rich Hanlin. It's already in my mind. And same question for you. It's if you were to blindfold me and strip me of everything, I would bet you within 6 months, I'd have my third top 10 company, because I know what to do. And so many people are afraid of that period of trying. I don't believe you fail when you try. I think you learn. You learn. I learned what not to do again. And I learned what works. And I'm very good at not repeating the pain points. I'm like, ooh, that didn't work. That cost $10,000 and I lost. I will never, ever do that again. That's a $10,000 education right there. The best I could ever have in the world. Because I know for a fact I will never do that advertisement again. Everybody, but what works for me might not work for other people. So I like to share actual results. And that's where I'm taking this next 5 years. I believe that we will be the number one broker in the United States of America. Hands down, we will not have the most loan originators. I'm not after the most, but I believe we're going to be number one by volume, and we're going to have one of the highest funding to licensee ratios, because I'm going to dive in to my whole entire partnership with every single loan officer I have, and I'm going to help them get one more loan. One's going to become two, two's going to become four. And it's going to be consistency. We're going to be working together, and people are going to be saying, I want that. What is going on? There's something different over there. Well, I think we already have the different part, but now we got to put that last part together. People have trusted this platform, and I want them to get something out of it. I want people, my heart is this. It's not about blessing me. I have been blessed my whole life. I believe that every day. I have gotten out of that poverty level. I broke out. My brother broke out. We talk about that all the time. My sons will not have the same life I had, and that's a good thing. But yet some of those things I learned through all that, they will never get an opportunity to learn. So careful trying to rob your kids or hold them, because there's lessons in those harder times.
Yes.
But my goal is to take everything I have. Kisha, I'm going to be 58 here a couple months, 35 years in. I've got to, I want to give the best that I have back to this industry and see if we can raise the level of what a loan originator gets out of it. Not just money, but teach them what to do with their money. Teach them about IULs. Teach them about, let's set up, because guess what? In 5 years from now, there's going to be another pullback. Let's get you ready so that your life, instead of going like this, it kind of looks like this. Very small, but you always got your minimums taken care of. You always have assets that are working. I want to raise the awareness across the board and do something that I just don't see anybody else doing. Everybody, it's about transactions. Get me more loans, bless my life. I don't care about yours. And it's like, I'm the last one to get paid.
Mm-hmm.
When I became the last one to get paid, my life changed. Now, part of that is some of the beliefs that I have, and I get it, and everybody wants to hear that side of my life. But I want to leave it better
Talk about that all
because
day.
I've lived a very blessed life, and I've been pulled through some things that only by divine interference.
Yes.
That's
Love
the
it.
only way I can say it. Um, I'm always going to acknowledge that. So if people don't want to hear
Yes.
that, then this ain't the place to work, because I will tell anybody anything they want to know about my life, the good, the bad, and the ugly, because that's the reality of life. And that's how we relate to people. If you just want to hear my Facebook good stuff, guess what? There's a whole nother side of my life that I'd be happy to share, because it hasn't always been rainbows and ponies, right? So
Right.
um,
Exactly.
you want to know who I
Love
am
that
and how I
divine
got? Yeah,
interference.
it's my life up to this day. It's my conversations with people like you, where I take one little piece, like, and I go, I'm better today because of that conversation with Kisha. I get something out of every one of these conversations. And I always remember, you say something that triggers something in my head. And I've always been able to do that. And I could walk in 10 years from now and I'll be, hey, how many cruises you been on? I always remember something. That's helped me even with my clients. My wife gets mad, like, you can't remember my anniversary, but you can remember that person. I'm like, kid names, what college they went to. And I'm like, I don't understand it. Just, I want to take all that and pour it in for anybody that wants it. Not everybody wants it, but it's like, if one person betters their life, then it was all worth it. I'm not trying to save 620. If I got 620 to better, hey, more power to it. But if one person changes their life, guess what? It changes a legacy and a generations behind them. And I don't know which person it is, so I got to pour into all of them.
Yes, yes.
That's my
What
thought.
you're
That's
doing
my vision.
is, yeah, what you're doing is very powerful. And it's the word that I start with every single January 1st is intentional. You're being intentional, and I love it. For fostering those relationships, getting to know people, you're being intentional to show them that you care, to show the other side of Rich, not just the business side of Rich. And I absolutely love it.
I like it too. Now, I've taken a lot of your time. I appreciate this. Thank you for asking me questions. Thank you for answering a lot of my state on the moment questions. You did a great job with them, by the way, Keisha.
Thank you.
I'm going to close this one out, and I'm going to say thank you, thank you, thank you for all your time. Thank you for your partnership with Expert Home Lending. Thank you. If I get you for a day, if I get you for 20 years, any of that is a blessing upon me. I want to say thank you. And I look forward to a prosperous 2025 and beyond for you. I hope you have some incredible cruises for all your family, and you keep smiling, you keep working, keep doing what you're doing, because you are inspirational to so many people. And if I was your kid, I'd be like, wow, you have an incredible example that you're showing to that next generation. And if you could package that up, I mean, the fact you're instilling into, you have the other people in California, you say you're pouring into them, you're reaching back and you're grabbing, just bring one person with you. If you get to that point that you could share backwards, just to help somebody,
Absolutely.
it'll bless your life. So, all right, I'm going to
Yes.
close it
Thank
up.
you. Thank you
This
so
was
much.
Mortgage Ballers with Kisha, Frankie Larkins, right now in California, but currently working the Texas border too. If you want to hear more about Kisha, if you want to get with Kisha, check out inside the YouTube. I'll put it down into the summary area, the more area, and you'll have all of her contact information. She'd love to hear from you, whether you're a loan officer, whether you're a borrower, whether you're trying to buy a home and you want that educational experience, and you said, man, I relate to that. That's who I want working with me. Well, there she is. We captured her today on Mortgage Ballers, and I want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. But like we always say when we close it out, stay thirsty, my friends.
Yes. Thank you.
All right, Keisha, you take care,
All
and
right.
thank you so much.
Thanks. You too.